All right. Well, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. We are back on the record in State of Indiana versus Richard Allen. I'll show the defendants here in person with counsel. The state is here by their prosecutor and deputies. The jury has reassembled. Are we ready to proceed, Mr. Luttrell?
We are. I thought the witness on the stand yesterday was right here, and now he just stepped out, so
Okay.
we'll have him here in just a second. Given the fact that I'm going to be showing him a number of evidence items, we have a smaller table that I would like to set closer to the witness,
Okay.
if the court would allow that.
Sure. Yeah. It would probably be easier than walking back and forth for all of that.
Yes. Judge, do you want the witness at the witness stand?
Yes, please. Maybe just in front of the stand.
Yes, ma'am.
That way you're not popping up and down. Is the defense ready to proceed?
Yes,
Okay. Let's go.
All rise. Thank you. You may be seated.
Thank you, gentlemen. All right, well, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's nice to see you back this morning. I hope you had a pleasant evening. We are ready to continue. And Mr. Olehy, I'll just remind you that you are still under oath, sir.
Yes, Your Honor.
You may proceed, Mr. Luttrell.
Thank you, Honor. At the end of the yesterday, sir, we were talking about evidence that was collected and taken to either the Lafayette Post or the Putnamville Post. Do you recall that?
I do.
I'm going to show you a number of items. They have many different numbers on them, but I'm going to focus as I talk to you on the state's exhibit sticker for clarification for the record and for the jury. But I may ask you to note other numbers that are also on there.
I understand.
What is a case number?
A case number is an identifying number which gives an individual incident or series of events an identifying number, which all reports can be referenced under that number. They may have an initial case report is assigned a number, and then supplemental reports by another officer, the same officer, or by a lab personnel may be referenced by that case number.
Are you familiar with the number 17K000666?
That number would be, because it's a K,
I'm sorry, that's a lab.
that would be a lab case number. The lab will individually assign a case number to an incident so that the lab management system can track and do a very similar thing, but as a regular case number would for a trooper. But the lab assigns a specific number for each event as well.
And case number 17, ISPC 01748. Are you familiar with that number?
Yes, I am.
What is that number?
That is the original case number drawn for the incident involving this matter by the Indiana State Police. The 17 indicates the year it was drawn, and the ISP indicates that's a state police case number. Within their system, the C indicates it's a criminal matter, and then the individual or identifying digits remaining are the actual case number assigned to it, sequentially given.
Was any other investigation, any other case, any other state police matter given the number 17 to 1748?
No, that would be an individual case number assigned to an individual incident. Case numbers are never reused, and they're actually assigned sequentially in the order which they are drawn by an officer through the entire statewide CAD system. One number is drawn, it could be drawn in the southern part of the state, it could be drawn in the northern part of the state, but that number is drawn individually to a specific event.
We have a number of items here. I don't believe it's necessary for me to go through every single one in detailed fashion, but I'm going to hand you the first one here, State's Exhibit 137, and ask you if you could identify that for the jury.
This is a sealed paper bag containing a white bag which contains a black and white Nike brand shoe which was size 10 and was recovered from the Deer Creek.
And who was it collected? Who was it packaged by? And
This is an item collected at the scene, and I provided it to Sergeant Cody to take to the Putnamville Post for drying, and it was packaged after drying by Sergeant Cody.
does the other sticker on it indicate that it was then transported from Putnamville Post to the Indiana State Police Laboratory in Indianapolis?
The sticker itself doesn't indicate the transfer, but it indicates that the item has been entered into the lab management system or, the lab's reporting system. The sticker itself doesn't do the tracking. There's a barcode on the sticker, which is a scanner used within the lab to track each individual item. The barcode is unique, and individual to this item, and no two barcodes are alike.
For efficiency, with the court's permission, I'm going to ask you to come down and I'm going to show you the other items. Is that okay, Your Honor?
You may, yeah, as long as just keep your voice up for us.
Yes, ma'am.
If you would just
Yep.
maybe stand right there so the jury can see you. I'm going to hand you State's Exhibit 138.
This is a sealed paper bag containing a white bag which contains a pair of Hollister brand blue jeans, size waist 26, length 33, recovered from Deer Creek. This was packaged also by Sergeant Cody after drying at Putnamville Post.
Exhibit 139.
This is also an item from Deer Creek. It's a sealed paper bag containing a white bag which contains a color tone brand tie-dye shirt, size extra large, recovered from Deer Creek, also given to Sergeant Cody by me and transported to Putnamville Post for trying.
Exhibit 140.
Again from Deer Creek, given to Sergeant Cody, a sealed paper bag containing a white bag which contains a gray No Boundaries brand hooded sweatshirt, size medium, which was recovered from Deer Creek and taken to Putnamville Post for drying.
State's Exhibit 141.
Also an item recovered from Deer Creek. It is a sealed paper bag containing a pair of Sonoma brand pink underwear, recovered from Deer Creek, also taken to Putnamville Post for drying, and packaged by Sergeant Cody.
Exhibit 142.
This also is from Deer Creek, a sealed paper bag containing a white bag which contains a black and purple sock recovered from Deer Creek and taken to Putnamville Post, packaged by Sergeant Cody.
143.
Also recovered from Deer Creek, an item taken to the Putnamville Post drying by Sergeant Cody, a sealed paper bag containing a white bag which contains a pink sock recovered from Deer Creek.
144.
Another item from Deer Creek taken to Putnamville Post for drying, packaged by Sergeant Cody, and a sealed paper bag containing a white bag which contains a green headscarf recovered from Deer Creek.
And 145.
Another item from Deer Creek taken to Putnamville Post for drying and packaged by Sergeant Cody, a sealed paper bag containing a white bag which contains a black Faded Glory brand spaghetti strap shirt, size large, recovered from Deer Creek.
Your Honor, the state would move the admission of State's Exhibit 137 through 145.
No objection.
All right. Without objection, 137 to 145 inclusive are admitted.
May I take a moment to...
Yes.
You yourself testified that you collected items and took them that night sometime after 10:30 p.m. to the Lafayette Post from Ground Zero, the crime scene. Is that correct?
That's correct. I took items from the area directly to the Lafayette Post for storage.
You didn't go anywhere else between Ground Zero and...
No, I went from the area of where my vehicle was parked in the cemetery, took the items from the investigated area and the crime scene to my vehicle, and drove my vehicle directly to the Lafayette district.
Handing you Exhibit 146.
This is an item packaged by myself which was recovered at the crime scene. It's a paper bag, sealed paper bag, containing a Converse tennis shoe recovered. It's the right shoe recovered at the scene.
147.
This is another item recovered from the scene. This is also a Converse shoe, recovered from the body of Abigail, the left Converse shoe. It bears my markings and my initials, showing that I'm the one that packaged and placed it into evidence.
By the way, you mentioned the barcode to the jury on one of the items that Sergeant Cody transported. Do each of these items I'm handing you have a barcode on them?
Yes, they do.
And that is a tracking system within the Indiana State Police system, laboratory system?
It is. It is a tracking system to identify each individual item. Once the item is entered into the lab system, it is given a unique item number for the lab to track and a unique and individual barcode.
State's Exhibit 148.
This is a sealed paper bag that I packaged. This includes a .40 caliber Smith & Wesson cartridge removed from the scene and located near the bodies, in between the two bodies at the crime scene.
You mentioned that you obtained several swabs from either the physical area in Ground Zero or on the bodies themselves. Is that correct?
Correct.
I'm going to hand you Exhibit 149.
This is a collection of a strand of material taken from between the fingers of the right hand of Abigail collected at the crime scene, and it bears my signature or my initials on the seals.
Exhibit 150.
This is also a collected strand of material from the left arm of Abigail. It is It's sealed in an envelope, and there's my signature or my initials on the seals for the item.
Exhibit 151.
This is a swab on the inside of Liberty's left wrist. This was collected at the scene by me. It bears my initials on the seals and was taken from the scene directly to storage at the Indiana State Police post in Lafayette.
152.
This is again an item taken from the scene. It is a swab, a cotton swab of the inside of Liberty's right wrist, taken at the scene and taken to the district for storage and temporary storage immediately after.
153, sir.
This is an item which I packaged, and it bears my initials on the seals. It's a swab taken from above the belly button of Liberty at the scene and taken to the storage and safekeeping in the temporary storage at the Lafayette post.
154.
This is an item collected at the scene by myself and packaged, bearing my initials on the seals. It is a swab of the thigh above the knee of Liberty taken and transported from the scene directly to the Lafayette post.
States Exhibit 155.
This is an item collected at the scene on the 14th by myself and packaged by me, bearing my initials on the seals. It is a strand of fibrous material taken from the pinky finger of the left hand of Liberty. It was taken from the scene directly to the Lafayette post for storage.
States Exhibit 156, sir.
This is a swab standard of a blood stain on a tree which was located near the bodies. The swab was taken approximately 4 foot above ground level from the tree, and this was a swab taken by me and packaged by me. It bears my signature. I collected this at the scene on the 14th and took it also, as with the other items, directly to the Lafayette post for storage and security and withholding within the state police laboratory system.
157.
This is item 157, taken from the scene on the 14th, collected by me and packaged by me, bearing my signature and identifying number on the seals. This bag contains a black Nike tennis shoe collected at the scene under the body of Abigail. That item was also collected on the 14th and transported the same day directly to the Lafayette post.
All these items that we've covered, you personally handled that I'm going to showing you today?
That's correct.
158.
This is item 158, the number assigned to this item. This is a swab from an area of blood found in between two markers placed on the ground, between markers 3 and 4, which we placed on the ground to indicate different areas of blood or proposed or potential blood. This is a swab taken from the ground and collected by me, sealed and packaged by me, bearing my signature and identifying number, and transporting to the Lafayette post immediately on that day.
159.
This is a swab from the ground near the feet of Liberty, collected by me and packaged by me and bearing my identifying number and initials on the package. It is a swab of the ground of a red-colored material presumed to be blood, collected at the scene, taken on that day, on the 14th, and transported on the 14th to the Lafayette post.
Exhibit 160.
This is a swab from the ground directly below the head of Liberty, a swab of the area collected by me and packaged by me, bearing my initials on the seals and my identifying number, collected on the 14th, taken to the Lafayette post on that same date, following my examination at the scene, and stored in evidence at the Indiana State Police post.
Exhibit 161.
This is a swab from the ground near the tree which had the blood on it the previously collected. The swab was from the ground near that tree, and it was collected by me, presumed blood. The swab was collected on that date, on the 14th, and bears my initials on the seals and was transported to the Lafayette post on that date.
162.
This is also a swab of presumed blood from the ground between the tree and the body of Abigail collected on the 14th by me. The item bears my identifying number and my initials. It was from the ground between the tree and the body, and was collected on the 14th and taken directly to the Lafayette post for storage following collection at the end of the processing.
163.
This is a swab of a red stain below the head of Abigail, from the ground directly below her head, collected by me, packaged by me, bearing my initials and my identifying number, collected as evidence in this matter, and sealed and packaged by me and taken to the Lafayette post for storage prior to entry into the lab management system.
164.
This is also a swab sample from a tree with red stains on it from the top of the north side of the tree. The swab was collected by me and packaged by me, bearing my initials and my identifying number. The item was collected on the 14th and transported to the Lafayette post
for storage and entry into the lab evidence management system.
165.
This is a swab sample from a red stain on a tree, on the lower stain of the north side of the tree. The swab was collected by me and packaged by me, bearing my initials and my identifying number on the seals. It was collected on the 14th and transported to the Lafayette Post for storage, security, entry into the lab evidence management system.
166.
This is a swab collected by me from the finger of the left index finger of Liberty. This is a swab that I collected and sealed. It bears my initials and my identifying number. I transported it from the scene directly to the Lafayette Post on the 14th at the conclusion of my investigation at the scene on that date, and stored at the Lafayette Post until entry into the lab evidence management system.
States Exhibit 167.
Again, a swab collected on the 14th by myself. This item bears my initials and my identifying number on the seals. It is a swab from the left pinky finger of Liberty. The item is packaged and transported to the Lafayette Post on the 14th for storage and security, and put into the lab's temporary storage.
Exhibit 168.
This is a cellular telephone, an iPhone, collected from the scene. The item was collected at the scene and taken by me from the scene directly to the Lafayette Post and placed into temporary storage. The item was taken directly to that storage on that date, on the 14th.
I'm going to show you States Exhibit 169.
This is an item collected by Sergeant Gilbert. First Sergeant Gilbert, my supervisor. This contains swab standards, collected from the cellular telephone, which I just handled prior to any processing or recovery of evidence by any technician to determine information or data on the phone. The phone was swabbed by First Sergeant Gilbert prior to that handling, and these are swabs of that phone and case.
On the morning of February 15th, where were you?
I was en route and then also in Terre Haute to attend the autopsies of Abigail and Liberty.
And was this phone in temporary storage with the other items?
That phone was secured in temporary storage during my travels to Terre Haute.
And was this then on the 15th swabbed by
First Sergeant Gilbert.
First Sergeant Gilbert? Is that correct?
That's correct.
There was interesting in getting the phone examined on the 15th while you were at the autopsy.
That's correct.
So the other items were put in completely packaged on another date.
All of the items went into temporary storage on the 14th. The items were placed in temporary secure storage at the Lafayette Post. As I mentioned yesterday, there's a limited number of people who have access to the temporary storage location, and only a limited number of people have access or keys to those storage areas. First Sergeant Gilbert, my supervisor, had that access, as well as the evidence clerk at the Lafayette Post would have access to it. First Sergeant Gilbert, to my knowledge, recovered the phone from the temporary storage and swabbed it prior to any handling by any technician to determine what data was or was not on the phone.
What did you do on the 16th, the day after the autopsy, back at the Lafayette Post?
My primary duty on that date was completing any sealing, packaging, or labeling of the items, and then completing what's called a property record and receipt, which clearly identifies each individual item, assigns it an individual item number that I assign, and then providing them to the evidence clerk for entry into the lab evidence management system, whereby she would then assign them an individual and unique number in the lab evidence management system, print out an individual barcode for each item, and place it on each item individually specific to that item.
From ground zero, each item, when collected, were placed in individual packaging.
They were. No items were packaged together or stored together or placed into any receptacle or container together. Each item was individually packaged.
And taken in that form to temporary storage that night?
That's correct.
You went to the autopsy on the 15th?
That's correct.
And then on the 16th, you began packaging these items, further sealing them, and denoting the stickers and so forth you've described on the 16th?
That's correct.
But they're already in individual packages?
That's correct.
And did you do that packaging or that systemized putting of the stickers on one at a time?
Yes.
Or did you get them all out on a table like I have them today at once?
No. The stickers are applied one at a time, individually to each item.
I would move the admission, Your Honor, of States Exhibit 146 to 169, or yes, 169.
169, you say, Jim?
Yes.
No objection.
All right, without objection, 146 to 169 inclusive are admitted.
At the autopsy, you stated that you collected certain items, as well as your colleague Brandon Mullen collected certain items at the autopsy. Is that correct?
That's correct.
I'm going to show you States Exhibit 170.
This is a swab collected by me at the autopsy of Liberty. It is a swab from the left thigh collected at autopsy by me, and sealed and initialed on the seals with my identifying initials and number, and collected by me and then taken from the autopsy in Terre Haute to the Lafayette Post for storage.
Exhibit 171.
This is an item packaged as evidence by me. It's a swab from the right thigh collected at autopsy of Liberty. It is sealed by me with and initialed with my initials and my identifying number, taken from the autopsy on the 15th in Terre Haute and transported for storage to the Lafayette Post in secure storage at the Lafayette District.
172.
This is an item from this matter collected by me. It is a swab from the right breast area of Liberty collected at the autopsy. It was collected by me and packaged by me and bears on the seals my identifying number and initials, collected at autopsy on the 15th in Terre Haute and transported to the Lafayette District for storage, security, and entry into the lab management system.
173.
This is a swab collected by me at autopsy on the 15th in Terre Haute from the left breast of Liberty, collected at autopsy and sealed and packaged individually by me with my initials and my identifying number, taken from the autopsy in Terre Haute on the 15th to the Lafayette Post on that same date for storage and entry into the lab evidence management system.
We have two boxes here, 174 and 175. Would you tell the jury what 174 is?
This is a state of Indiana sexual assault evidence collection kit. These are pre-prepared collection kits, sealed prior to use and only opened upon their use, generally either at an examination of an individual or at an autopsy of an individual. They contain various items and swabs to include a comb and some envelopes. This is a standard case. This is a standard box of a sexual assault kit used throughout the state of Indiana in hospitals and morgues for the collection of evidence from victims. It's a victim of sexual assault kit. This one individually was it was provided to the forensic pathologist, Dr. Roland Kaur. It was provided to Dr. Kaur, and he completed the collection of the actual items sealed within this. Each item is individually packaged inside, and then all of the items are collected, the other ones individually packaged. This is a very standard collection kit collected. This one was collected at Terre Haute Regional Hospital on the 15th. This is the sexual assault kit collected from Abigail. It was provided back to me from Dr. Kaur and his staff. I sealed it again, and it bears my initials. Actually, it bears Brandon's initials. This was taken by Brandon for drying prior to entry into the lab management system.
And 175.
Can we go back to that item?
174.
Yeah. So it was sealed by me. It has both seals, sealed by Brandon Mullen. These red evidence seals are actually inside and contained within the initial kit. He actually closed the box and provided me with his seals on it when he handed it to me.
Are you seeing your initials?
In the autopsy, there are Brandon's initials. And then I resealed it again additionally after I took it from him and sealed it with my initials.
And this is for Abigail, is that right?
I took it to the Lafayette Post. That's for Abigail, yes.
And it bears the sticker, bears the reference Lafayette Post?
Yes.
So Surgeon Mullen did take several items to Putnamville for drying, but not States Exhibit 174?
Not 174. No, I took it.
And Exhibit 175?
Again, a standard evidence kit, sexual assault evidence collection kit.
Same as this?
It's identical in every manner.
And for which person does that apply to?
This was collected from the deceased from Liberty, collected by Dr. Core and his staff. It was closed, and the attached seals were affixed by Sergeant Mullen, and then I continued my sealing process with my initials and my identifying number. It was collected on the 15th of February 2017 at Terre Haute Regional Hospital and transported by me to the Lafayette District for storage and security in the lab management system.
Exhibit 176.
This is a trace fiber collected by me at the autopsy of Abigail from the upper left arm at autopsy. The item inside actually contains a paper bindle or a piece of paper folded up around the actual fiber material to keep it in so you can easily find it when you open the package and keep it protected within the package so it doesn't get lost inside the package. It was collected by me, sealed and initialed with my identifying number and my initials. It was collected at the autopsy and transported to the Lafayette District directly from the autopsy by me for entry into storage at the Lafayette Post and entry into the lab evidence management system.
The items that you indicated Sergeant Mullen collected at the autopsy, I do believe you testified yesterday, that was for the drying purposes.
That's correct.
And the Putnamville District was a better drying room?
Their facility was much improved for drying of the items.
I'm going to hand you State's Exhibit number 177.
This is an item collected at the autopsy. It is a sealed paper bag containing a black hooded sweatshirt. It's a Gildan brand, size 2XL with Delphi swimming printed on the front and the word German printed on the back. It bears red stains, and the item also contains a paper bag the sweatshirt was transported in from autopsy. It's sealed by Sergeant Mullen, and it's been entered into the lab evidence management system, using the same lab number as the other items, individually numbered for that item, its own individual barcode.
178.
This is an item collected at autopsy in Terre Haute, collected by Sergeant Mullen, a sealed paper bag containing a pair of blue jeans, Maurice's brand, size extra large, with red stains and dirt on them. The item also contains a paper bag the jeans were transported in from autopsy. It was sealed and initialed by Sergeant Mullen and bears the lab evidence number as well as the barcode assigned to this individual item for this item collected at the autopsy in Terre Haute on the 15th.
Number 177 was the sweatshirt, and 178 the jeans that the jury saw in the photograph that were worn by Abigail.
That's correct.
180.
This is an item collected at the autopsy in Terre Haute in my presence by Sergeant Mullen. It's a sealed paper bag containing a gray cotton bra, Fruit of the Loom brand, size 34, with red stains on it. It also contains a paper bag the bra was transported from in the autopsy. It's sealed and signed by Sergeant Mullen as an item collected in this matter, with its own individual barcode assigned by the lab management system.
I think I got out of sequence. 179.
This is State's Exhibit 179, is an item collected at the autopsy in my presence by Sergeant Mullen, taken to the Putnamville Post for drying. It is a sealed paper bag containing a pink sleeveless shirt, unknown brand in size, with red stains. The item also contains a paper bag the shirt was transported in from the autopsy. It bears the signature and seals initialed by Sergeant Mullen, and also bears an individual barcode and an individual lab number assigned by the lab evidence management system.
And finally, 181.
This is an item collected at autopsy in Terre Haute on the 15th of February, collected in my presence by Sergeant Mullen. The item is a sealed paper bag containing a black bra, unknown brand, size 34A, with red stains. The item also contains a paper bag the bra was transported in from the autopsy on that date. It is initialed and sealed by Sergeant Mullen bearing his initials, and also bears a unique and identifying barcode and number from the lab evidence management system.
These were the other garments, the pink top, the gray bra, and the black bra.
That's correct.
From the body of Abigail.
That's correct.
Was 169 admitted, Your Honor? Was that part of the group?
Yes.
So I would move the admission of 170, Your Honor, to 181.
No objection.
All right. Without objection, 170 to 181 inclusive are admitted.
Your Honor, at his time, I would ask leave, given the fact that there have been a lot of description by the witness of various markings and stickers, I would ask leave to pass to the jury in their sealed condition 146, 147, and 148 as a sample without passing all of them to the jury so that they can see for themselves.
Okay, so 147, 147, 147, and 148,
Correct, Your Honor.
right? You may.
Officer, you can go ahead and have a seat.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm sorry you were standing there. The jury's done, Mr. Luttrell.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'm going to show you a photograph you identified yesterday that was conditionally admitted into evidence subject to Dr. Kaur's testimony. By the way, when we say Kaur, that's K-O-H-R, is that correct?
That's correct.
Just to keep it clear, Exhibit 123, without showing it to the jury, would you examine that? What is that, a photograph of?
That is a photograph taken of autopsy of Abigail. Some of the clothing items found on her have already been removed. This is a layered photo showing an item of evidence we just handled. She's wearing what I would call a pink sleeveless shirt underneath. It was underneath a black sweatshirt.
And did you notice at the time in the photograph, did you notice any lines of discoloration on that top?
Yeah. There are red staining areas of presumed blood, as well as some area of lines.
I'm talking about the lower part of the shirt.
Some lines on it, indicating moisture and wetness to the item.
And did you notice that the sweatshirt itself was damp? I believe you testified.
It was
At ground zero.
found damp in the condition they were found at the scene, and it was still damp the following day at autopsy.
And then the pink top that was underneath it, you were able to see it better at the autopsy. Correct.
That's correct.
Does that photograph show the moisture still on the white on the top?
I believe the photograph clearly depicts the moisture area on the lower portion of the top.
In fact, why did you have Sergeant Mullen take those items from the autopsies to Putnamville instead of you taking them to Lafayette?
Because of the drying room capabilities of the Putnamville Post and the drying room capabilities or lack thereof of the Lafayette District, those items were still wet. They'll still have been wet from what was presumed to be moisture from water and or moisture from biologics, to include presumed blood. In order to dry them correctly and properly and preserve any potential evidence, keep them from decaying or degrading.
Are you familiar with a cartridge? I think you may have answered, another witness may have answered. What do we call the end of the cartridge that's not the bullet end? The case?
The primer end of the cartridge would be called the head stamp area. It also contains the primer in a semi-automatic cartridge.
And did the cartridge that you collected, was it a Winchester Smith & Wesson 40 caliber?
Yes, it was. That's the brand and then the caliber.
Thank you. I have no further questions.
Mr. Rosie.
One of the most common rounds of ammunition you'll find anywhere, isn't it, Smith & Wesson?
I would say no.
Okay, all right. You went through a lot of exhibits today. I think I counted about 48 of them. And let me hand you what's been marked. May I approach, Judge?
You may.
I'll hand you what's been marked 151, states 151, just so we can kind of make sure we're coordinated there in terms of exhibits. Is that the exhibit that is reflected as a swab of the inside of Liberty's left wrist? Is that right?
That's correct. It's a swab.
And one of the reasons why you would take a swab like that is because there may be an opportunity to take that sample from that swab and use it for DNA purposes, right?
It could be used for that, yes.
That's one of the primary reasons really why you retain these kind of things, right? Collect and retain them?
Collect and retain, yes.
Okay. And was there any information that was generated from that swab that connects Mr. Allen with this crime scene?
I'm not aware of any.
Okay. Do you think you probably would be considering the scope of this investigation if that were the case?
I'm sorry. Considering the scope?
Yeah. Considering the attention that this investigation has gotten, do you think that you'd probably be aware of that as you sit here today if that were true?
I would assume I would.
Okay, 152, a swab of the inside right wrist of Liberty. Any information generated from that swab that connects Mr. Allen with this crime scene?
Not that I'm aware of.
153, a swab above the belly of Liberty. Any information from that swab that connects this man to that crime scene?
Not to my knowledge.
154, a swab of an area above her knee. Any information from that swab that connects him with the crime scene?
I'm not aware of it connected anyone.
155, strike that. That was a strand of fibrous material. 156, a swab of blood stain from one of the trees out there. Any information from that swab that connects Mr. Allen with this crime scene?
Not that I'm aware of.
158, another swab between two markers on the ground. Any information from that swab that connects Mr. Allen to this crime scene?
Not that I'm aware of.
159, a swab from, looks like the ground near Liberty's foot. Any information from that swab that connects Mr. Allen to this crime?
To which I would object, Your Honor. I've not objected till now, but this is not the witness, as he's already stated previously, that did any analysis or was directly involved in that. That witness will testify, and so it's inappropriate for this officer or this witness to testify and answer that question. I object.
Any response?
Judge, he said, I'm asking him if he is aware of any information that came from any of this. He testified that this is a case that's gotten a lot of attention, and he would likely know that at this point, I think he's entitled to ask it.
So now my objection's relevance, it isn't relevant whether he's aware of it or not. That question can be posed to the analyst that actually did the examination.
Well, I would overrule the first objection, but I would sustain it on relevance as to this witness.
Judge, may I? I believe that his knowledge that Mr. Allen may be connected to this crime scene has a tendency to prove or disprove that he is involved in this crime, so it is relevant for that reason.
I've sustained the objection, Mr. Rosie.
Thank you. All right. In the course of your investigation with regard to collecting all of these items, whatever they are, swabs, clothes, whatever it was, did you ever speak with anyone that was involved in the analysis of those items in terms of what those results were?
I don't have any specific recollection of a direct conversation with any of the analysts about the results of the items. Directly having any conversation about it, no.
Okay. And that includes the analysis of that bullet that's sitting there, item 148.
I've never had any conversations with any analyst about the cartridge.
Okay. Do you have any information that you've gathered in the course of the investigation about the results of the analysis of any of this, whether you've gotten it from another investigating officer,
Objection.
some other law enforcement authority?
I fail to see the relevance in that question.
I'm asking him what the results are of the information he gathered at the scene. I think it's highly relevant.
Perhaps for another witness. Sustained.
You heard of the concept of crime scene integrity, Mr. Olehy?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and we talked earlier about this, but would you agree with me that generally involves the idea that you would maintain some confidentiality, at least in part, with the crime?
I think the integrity of the crime scene and the integrity of the investigation are separate and distinct, but also of both of the same importance.
Okay, so let's talk about those two prongs. One of them is that you want to maintain the integrity of that scene. You don't want that information flowing out into the public. Is that right? Trying to maintain some privacy with that?
I would say yes.
And that could be pretty crucial to your investigation, because once that information gets out to the public, then it can be manipulated in many ways, right?
That's possible.
Okay, and then the other aspect of this is just kind of the hard science of making sure that there's nothing that's tampered with at crime scenes, or there's nothing that is disturbed before you get a chance to analyze it. Is that correct?
I would say yes.
Those are kind of the two primary parts of maintaining integrity, right?
I would say they are part of the integrity.
Are you aware of any information?
Objection, Your Honor. The witness was answering his question and was interrupted by the attorney.
He said yes.
He was still talking when...
He was still talking.
Finished talking.
I'll complete it there.
We were done talking, right?
I was not, but that's fine.
Okay. Well, then finish what you were going to say.
I don't remember what I was going to say.
All right. Are you aware of any information in this case that suggested that there was a breach of the integrity of that crime scene?
Objection. It's irrelevant.
Overruled.
I'm not aware of any.
Did anybody suggest to you at any point, hey, there were some photos that were taken of that scene by individuals from the public?
I'm not aware of that.
Okay. And what about any of the search party members that may have taken photos of the crime scene?
I have no knowledge.
Is that something you think you would have knowledge of in a normal investigation?
I don't know.
All right. Now, in terms of that, the crime scene in general, would you agree with me that when you got to that scene and first observed the scene, that there were some unique characteristics associated with that scene?
To which I would object to the form of the question, Your Honor. The would you agree with me suggests he's offering in his own opinion to the jury, so I'd object to the form.
I'll rephrase the question.
Sustained.
Were there some unique circumstances associated with that scene when you got there?
I would say every scene presents its own unique circumstances.
Okay. What about that one?
As with all scenes, this one presented unique circumstances.
One girl was naked, right?
This scene, yes,
And another one was dressed, right?
that's correct.
And those girls were laying on the ground and there were sticks laying on their bodies where they're not.
They were.
And did it seem apparent to you that those sticks were not there coincidentally, that they were something that was intentionally placed there?
They appear to be placed there by an individual.
And did you place any significance in that aspect of the scene?
That it appeared to be an attempt at concealment. That was what I assumed.
Okay. That was your assumption.
There was a presumption.
At any point in time, did you ever make the assumption that maybe there was some attempt to communicate some meaning by those sticks?
No,
Even as you sit here today, that thought's never crossed your mind?
I don't see any significance in the position of the sticks. They appear to me to be positioned to conceal, in some way, the fruits of the crime.
Well, there's very little parts of those bodies were concealed, right? We can see that in the photos, right?
Yeah. I mean, they were not completely covered.
And did you find one of those sticks to have a artificial or I guess a man-made cut on it?
There may have been items. I didn't find anything that had a man-made cut to it, as I would define a cut.
Did you end up collecting those sticks on that day, February 14th?
I did not.
Okay, you waited to collect those sticks until a few days later, is that right?
They were collected later.
And was that outside of the normal course of investigation that you would collect sticks days later?
It was.
Somebody suggested to you to go back and collect those sticks, right?
They did.
And in fact, there was a couple of occasions when you went back and collected some sticks, is that right?
I did not. No.
Do you remember a conservation officer suggesting that happened?
No.
You acknowledge that, well, strike that. Are you aware of the original source of any of the clothing that was found on Abigail at that scene? In other words, whose clothing that was determined to be at any point?
I don't know what a determination officially was. The items appeared to be, one of the items had the name German on it, identifying it. I make the assumption that it belonged to Liberty or a member of Liberty's family due to the name being on the back of it. And then the sizing of the clothing was more consistent with the size of Liberty than it was Abigail. Some of the clothing appeared too large for Abigail too. The jeans and the sweatshirt appeared
So a lot of these...
to be other items.
I'm sorry, go ahead. You may finish. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
They just appeared to be other items not normally worn by Abigail.
Okay, so the logical assumptions to be drawn there is that Liberty was disrobed at some point, and then those clothes ended up on Abigail. Is that right?
That would be a logical assumption.
Were you able to make any assumptions about the chronology of that happening?
That would lead to a large amount of speculation of items that I don't have at hand.
And were you able to make any assumptions about the location where that occurred?
I was not.
whether it was on the south side of the creek, on the north side of the creek, or somewhere else?
I'm not able to determine where and when those events occurred based on the evidence at the crime scene.
Were you able to determine where any of those sticks came from at that scene?
There were, one of the largest pieces, there was an indentation that it appeared that the stick had been moved from nearby the body. But that's just an assumption, and I'm in no position as an expert to determine the movement of items.
Did you ever do any testing with regard to those sticks to determine what type of tree they came from or what their source was?
No.
There were shoe impressions found in various areas around Ground Zero and even on the other side of the creek, is that right?
I believe there were some found, yes.
Okay, and some of those were along the banks of Deer Creek?
I believe so, yes.
And is it fair to say that there were signs that there had been foot traffic in that area prior to your arrival on that day?
Yes, I was aware of a very large search the day of prior to my arrival by multiple searchers and a search by family and friends the previous night in the general area.
Thank you. One of the things that can compromise the integrity of a crime scene, right? People have been walking around it.
That's correct.
And was there ever any determination by you to discern where any of those impressions came from?
Not by me.
We heard some testimony earlier that, hey, it was maybe, I think it was Mr. Datzman testified that, there was one shoe impression that was found that maybe had some similarities to one of the shoes that was recovered. Are you familiar with that at all?
I'm not.
Okay. And so in terms of any of those impressions, did you ever find any impressions from somebody who was wearing a smaller size shoe? Maybe, something the size of the girls?
Not that I'm aware.
Okay. Was there any effort really to do anything with those shoe impressions to try and learn more from those impressions?
I'm not aware of a specific effort to try to identify specifically to the shoes. The shoes had distinct and different characteristics to their soles. I was not privy to the specifics of any of the impressions taken. I know photographs were taken of shoe impressions, but that's the extent of my knowledge.
Okay. So you can't really draw any conclusions about those shoe impressions other than the fact that they exist, right?
I know that there were impressions found near the area.
Okay. Fingerprints, any attempt to lift any prints out there on the scene?
No, there were no good, what I could call good stat rates or locations to lift prints. To include the bodies, or doing any extra disturbance to the bodies at the scene, and the porous nature and the dirty nature of the sticks themselves. Clothing items are also not good for collecting fingerprints. Those are not good substrates to produce prints.
Okay. Anything up on the high bridge, a tree, a limb, anything like that was in the area on the south side of the high bridge that would have been valuable?
Not that I'm aware of.
I know there's a barrier up there we've seen in one of the photos on the south side of the high bridge that cuts across the bridge. Have you seen that barrier?
I recall a barrier type, like a guardrail type of a barrier.
Any attempt to collect anything up there?
Not in that area that I'm aware of.
Okay.
Not by me.
Sure. The F tree, you know what I'm talking about?
I have some recollection of a tree with blood on it.
Okay. And you're familiar that there's a fairly sizable marking of blood on that tree, right?
There is an area of red staining on the tree, which I presume to be blood.
You?
I presumed to be blood.
Sure. Okay. And the tree's garnered some attention, right?
I mean, I think the entire matter has garnered much attention.
Okay. All right. Well, we can agree on that. So do you agree with me that one of the unique aspects of the marking on that tree was that there was a line, a vertical line, and it appears to be pretty straight?
I never took any sort of a compass or a ruler or tried to make the direction of it or find the due north or the radius of it or the direction like from a compass angle or the straightness it appears to be to go up and down the tree trunk.
Did you ever just look at it with your own two eyes and say that's a pretty straight line?
When I looked at it, it appears to be a large R of contact transfer of blood.
Okay, well, early in this investigation, when you were out there on the 14, 15, and the days and weeks after that, did you ever take the time to have somebody look at that, examine that marking more closely?
On the tree itself later on? No, not that. I did not personally, no.
Did you make any attempt to try and preserve that part of the tree? Maybe take a chainsaw and cut that part out and preserve it, anything like that?
It was documented and preserved with photographic photography.
So you didn't preserve the item itself like you did the sticks laying on the ground?
Now,
Okay, are you aware that there was a blood spatter expert hired in this case just this year to take a look at that tree?
I'm aware that an expert was contacted, but that's the extent of my information.
Were blood spatter experts available to you in the course of your line of employment back in 2017?
I believe so, yes.
Okay, did you employ one or recommend to anyone that one be employed in this case?
To meet the definition of the Indiana State Police's lab manual for an expert on that matter, no. To have someone trained at the scene to examine it, I would say yes. Sergeant Page has been trained, but he's not a qualified expert as to the lab manual's definition of an expert.
Okay, so after you cleared the scene, did you employ a blood spatter expert to assist you in this case?
Asked and answered.
Sustained.
Is it possible that a blood spatter expert could have assisted in helping determining the chronology of events that occurred out there in terms of when the girls were disrobed and clothed again?
I'm not aware of a technique in blood spatter that would have given that information.
Would it be helpful to know if somebody has blood on them and they're clothed, how that blood might move on their body because they're clothed?
Yes.
Okay. Would that be something a blood spatter expert might be able to help with?
They may.
We talked a little bit earlier yesterday, a little bit about scavengers.
You acknowledge there was not much disturbance, if any, with regard to the two girls' bodies out there in terms of outside factors having influenced them before you guys got there?
I'm not aware of any outside factors influencing the bodies.
Are those things that you're concerned about from time to time when you have outdoor crime scenes that other animals and insects and things can impact those scenes?
I don't know that I'm worried about it. It's part of the crime scene, and I would deal with it as it came.
Fair enough. It's a poorly worded question. Are those things you take into consideration?
I would take them into consideration.
And they could be helpful in determining timing in a way that chronology, the way things happen at the scene, right?
They can be useful in giving a varied range of time.
In terms of time, do you acknowledge that you were not able to determine the time that these girls were deceased based on the work that you did in this case?
I can't give you a precise time of death, and I think time of death is a very imprecise science.
And so what you're telling me, or would you agree with me, I should say, that it happened sometime between they were last seen on the 13th and when they were found on the 14th, right?
Objection to the form of the question. Would you agree with me?
To the form of the question.
I'll rephrase it.
Rephrase it.
Do you agree with me that it happened sometime between those times?
Objection to the word agree being used in the question. The attorney's opinion is not relevant to this jury. It's improper to share that with them.
Okay. Sustained on that. Rephrase it.
Did it happen sometime between those time periods?
Which time periods?
The time they were last seen on February 13th and the time they were found on February 14th?
I would say yes. If they were seen on the 13th alive and found dead on the 14th, then their death occurred sometime in between the last time they were seen alive and the time they were found deceased.
Okay, thank you for that. You talked about water levels a little bit. Did you go out into the creek or ask anybody else to go out in the creek to determine what the water levels were on that day?
Yes. Yes. I spoke with members of the dive team, asked them to determine. To my knowledge, I don't know that they took an actual ruler out there, but the bottom of the creek is not a flat plane. It is undulating, I would say. And it varied as I asked the officers to move about from areas of an inch or two of water up to about 2.5, maybe 3 feet in some areas, from where there were some undulations that went much deeper up to about that 3-foot point.
Thank you. Are you finished?
Yeah.
The area closer to the north shoreline appeared to be deeper. Is that fair?
There were areas which were deeper, but I would say again that the undulations of the entire area move and change on a daily basis with the movement of rock, silt, and sediment in the water. So if we went back out there today, it may be a completely different scene. Even days later, it may be completely different in that creek. It's a living, breathing creek.
We're talking about on February 14, 2017.
I mean, there were.
Did the area closer to the North Shore appear to be deeper than it did on the other side?
In some areas, yes.
Were you able to discover any location on that North Shore where you could conclude that one or more individuals traveled up that shore?
Conclusively, no.
You're a hunter, you said?
Yes, sir.
And so you spend some time out in the woods from time to time?
More open field.
Okay. A bird hunter?
Yes, sir.
All right. Is there anything unusual about finding a spent or unspent round in a woodlot in Indiana?
From a hunting cartridge capability in that area, I would find it more odd to find a .40 caliber round. I would find it much more likely to find a shotgun round of a 12 gauge, a 20 gauge, a 410 gauge, or some round of ammunition approved for hunting of wild game as a handgun round.
Is there anything unusual about finding a spent or unspent round in, a woodlot in Indiana?
I wouldn't find it odd to find a round anywhere in the state of Indiana.
Okay, thank you. Now, in this particular, let me ask you this. Is it unusual for people to take handguns out into the woods and fire them?
What other people do, it would be unusual for me to do that on someone else's property.
You ever lived out in the country?
Yes, sir.
Okay. People out in the country have guns?
Some do.
Okay. And do those people shoot those guns from time to time?
They do occasionally.
And are wooded areas a place where people might shoot those guns?
They may.
Would you be surprised if somebody was out in this wooded area along this creek at some point in time prior to those girls' deaths firing a gun?
I would not be surprised.
You have a 6-hour?
I do not.
Okay. Was that what was issued to you back in 2017?
That's correct.
There's been many references here to different models. P227, do you remember that?
I was issued a P227, yes, sir.
And then a 239 or 226, did you say?
No, I've never had a
227, right?
A 227, which is a .45 caliber.
Okay. And then you said a P365, which is a 9mm?
That's correct.
And there are other 6-hour P, and then insert the numbers for other types of 6-hour handguns, right?
I'm not sure about the P designations, and I'm not that familiar with the other designations for other models of. There are P365s with different words after them that are also 9mm, but I'm not aware of any other, 6 hours nomenclature well enough to give an opinion.
Okay, well, let's stick to the 227 and the 365. Those were the two numbers models that you mentioned, right?
That's correct.
And are those guns very similar in terms of their platform, if you will, as how they're designed?
No, not at all.
Okay. They're totally different?
Yes, very different.
Okay, do you know anything about what the inside of those guns looks like, what the tools are inside of those guns?
Beyond basic operation and basic systems of the firearm, to include my ability to clean my firearms and utilize my firearms, no.
But how those tools are manufactured that are placed in those guns, you don't know anything about that?
No.
So you would defer to somebody who was an expert in that?
I would defer to an expert on firearms.
I was looking at this top photo. May I approach, Your Honor?
You may.
The photo, which is State 78. Have you seen this
Yes, sir.
photo before? I'm going to try to... We're not publishing here because I just put it right here so the jurors can look at it. Is that okay?
Yes, sir.
This is a photo of the north side of the creek. Is that correct?
It's taken from the north side.
Okay, and if there's in the left side here, just close to the creek line or the shoreline, I should say, there are a couple of places where there's some debris. You see that? One up on the kind of the top center, and then the other one down here on the bottom center, if you will.
Yes, I see it.
Okay. And are those two of the locations where some of these items that we've talked about today were collected?
They are.
Okay. This creek is flowing downstream, so from the top left to the bottom right of the photo. right?
That's correct. I would call it an east to west direction.
Okay.
Generally speaking.
So one could conclude that those items that were stuck on those parts of debris could have come from upstream?
It's possible.
And you don't know where those items were discarded originally before they met their final resting location on those pieces of debris, right?
I don't know where or how they were discarded.
Now, in terms of the scope of your search, I'm not going to pull the TV over just in the interest of time. Do you acknowledge where 300 North is, County Road 300 North?
Yes.
You know where that is relative to the crime scene?
It's to the north.
Yeah. The road north of the cemetery?
That runs along the north edge of the cemetery, yes.
Okay. That's kind of an east or west road. Is that fair?
I would say yes. That's generally speaking.
At any point in time in this case, were you ever asked to inspect any areas north of 300 County Road 300 North?
Not to my knowledge, no.
Okay. Do you know where the Mears connector is?
I'm sorry, the mirror?
Do you know where the Mears connector is?
I'm not familiar with that term.
Okay. I'm going to help you out. Do you understand that there was a trailhead at the time back in 2017 up on 300 North that essentially cut in to the Monon High Bridge Trail somewhere in the middle?
I'm not aware of the full extent of the trail system.
Okay. Were you ever asked or strike that? Did you ever conduct any kind of a search for clothing, discarded items of clothing or anything like that anywhere near the Hoosier Heartland north of 300?
I did not.
Okay. You know where the CPS building was located at the time?
No.
Okay.
Not specifically.
All right. What about the area? 1 second, Your Honor. Let me hand you what's been marked as, may I approach?
You may.
States Exhibit 5. I'd like to just throw this up, but I don't want to manipulate the TV, and the jury already has it. So, do you generally recognize this as being the Deer Creek that runs through the center of States 5?
Correct. Then, a high bridge is visible in the photograph.
Okay. Can I turn this
Yes.
just so the jury can see it? Thank you. And with regard to States 5, I was asking you about 300 North, which is right here.
That's correct.
Okay. And I asked you if you had searched anywhere north of 300 North, and your answer is simply no, right?
No.
Okay. At any point in time during this investigation, it's not a trick question. Did you ever go out and search a cornfield around this part?
I did search areas north of Carroll County Road 300 North. Yes.
As part of this investigation?
Yes.
When did that occur?
Within the weeks afterwards, locations in Monticello and White County and...
Okay. All right. I'm talking about immediately north of 300.
Immediately north within this picture, there's nothing in this picture that I recall ever being asked to search north of the country road.
Okay, and the Andersons is located over here in the corner. It's the top left corner. Is that right? The grain elevator?
Yeah, grain elevator. I don't remember the name.
Okay, and you were never asked to search anywhere over there?
I was not, no.
Okay, let me direct your attention to this farm here, this farmhouse that's just north of 300 North. Do you see that?
I do see an area.
And do you see where the High Bridge Trail runs to the northwest and kind of almost meets that particular area across the street from the farmhouse?
It appears to.
Have you ever, or are you familiar with the fact that there was what I referred to as the Mears connector earlier? There's a little trail that connected the main trail there or not?
I wasn't aware of that, no.
So that probably answers my questions. You never searched any of the area along that part of the trail between 300 North and the trail either?
No, sir.
For discarded items and clothing or anything like that?
No, sir.
Okay, item 148. This is what we, the defense, have referred to as the magic bullet, right?
Objection, Your Honor. It's an inappropriate reference and question.
I'm asking if he acknowledges that we refer to it as that.
It's a little argumentative.
It's irrelevant if he has anyway, but improper question.
It's improper. Rephrase your question.
Have you heard that phrase in the course of this investigation?
Objection, Your Honor. It's irrelevant.
How is this relevant, Mr. Rosie?
I'm using it to identify the exhibit instead of talking about the...
Then use the identity.
Exhibit is item 148.
Then use the identity that has been accepted and relayed to this jury as 148. Your characterization is improper.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. 148, right? You can't see it from there?
Yeah, that is State's Exhibit 148.
Smith & Wesson 40 caliber round, right?
That is the caliber. Yes.
I saw maybe 6 or 7 photos of that round that were taken at the crime scene. Have you seen more than that?
I have not.
Okay. Have you looked for more?
I have not.
Okay. Did anybody ask you, like, hey, are there any more than 5 or 6 rounds, 6, 7 rounds of this, photographs of this round?
Not to my, I don't recall being asked that, no.
Okay. Do you acknowledge that there were no photographs of that unspent round that were taken of the ground where it sat after it was removed?
Objection. Asked and answered.
Sustained?
May we approach?
Sure.
Sidebar conference conducted.
I think the question was whether or not there were any photographs of the ground where it was removed. That's the first time I've asked that.
Then I misunderstood the question.
Oh, okay. All right.
I apologize.
Withdraw the objection?
Sidebar conference concluded.
Do you acknowledge that there were no photographs of the ground where that unspent round was removed after it was removed?
I believe other photographs were taken at the scene, which would have depicted the ground after it was removed.
Okay, fair enough. But highlighting that particular area so you could see how that ground was laying or how that round was laying on the ground after it was removed.
I'm not aware of any photographs specifically detailing the close-up area of where the bullet was removed after it was removed.
And do you acknowledge that there are no photographs of that round, that unspent round, in its true state, the entirety of it, after it was removed?
I did not take any, no.
And do you agree with me that it would be helpful in an investigation like this to see a picture of that round after it was removed from the ground?
Objection to the form of the question. It's improper to ask if he agrees with the lawyer.
Form of the question sustained.
It's important in these investigations to document, isn't it?
It can be, yes.
The most important thing that you're doing out there is preserving information and items, correct?
I would say yes.
And I think I heard Officer Page at one point saying you can never take too many photographs. Have you heard that in the context of one of these investigations?
I think the conversation I've had with people is film is free.
Say that again.
Film is free. Doesn't cost.
Okay, so the logical extension of that is you can take a lot of photographs.
You can.
And this particular item was a pretty significant find at that crime scene, wasn't it?
It potentially was.
And would you agree with me that you did a poor job of documenting that particular item as it relates to collecting it as evidence?
Objection. His opinion is not relevant. It's part of argument. It's not part of question and answer. I'd object to the form of the question.
It's his own work product, Your Honor.
It's the form of the question.
I'd object to asking if he agrees with Mr. Razi.
Sustained.
Do you wish you would have taken more pictures of that round?
Not particularly, no.
Okay. Is it, strike that. Is it unprofessional to pick that round up, hold it, and take a photograph while it's being collected? Anything unprofessional about that?
I would say having an individual in the photograph would be considered potentially unprofessional. Placing it into a clean area and an unobstructed area which was not present at the scene would be a more proper way to document that photograph.
That wasn't done in this case, was it?
It was not.
State's Exhibit 82, a picture of a sock, right?
That's correct.
Someone's holding the sock, right?
They are.
Picked it up with their hand.
They did.
And took a picture of it.
They did.
No face in the picture, right?
There is not.
Is this unprofessional?
It wouldn't be my preferred method. I wouldn't call it unprofessional, but I wouldn't call it the preferred method.
1 second, Yara.
You did mention at one point that you had inspected Liberty's, I think you said wrist areas for defensive wounds. Do you generally remember that testimony? I think it was yesterday.
Generally, yes.
Okay. Did you discover any type of defensive wounds on her body?
I'm sorry?
Did you discover any type of defensive wounds on her body?
I did not.
Ask the witness.
Mr. Luttrell?
Thank you, Honor. Many items of ammunition were collected in your investigation at Ground Zero.
1.
How many items of ammunition were found anywhere in that crime scene on the 14th?
1.
Of all the evidence that you collected and packaged in this investigation on the 14th and on the 15th, how many items of ammunition did you place into a package under this case number?
1 item.
When you were packaging the evidence in this case, did you have evidence from other investigations, other cases, positioned, located within the area you were packaging?
No.
Did you package each item individually, one at a time?
I did.
Mr. Rosie asked you the most important thing is to do all you can to preserve the evidence, something like that. Regardless of what he said, I'm going to ask you, is that the most important thing?
I would say the documentation of the scene and preservation of the items at the scene are the 2 most important things.
And after photographing the round, the cartridge in the ground, did you place it in its individual package to preserve any evidence that might be on it?
That's correct.
Is a .45 caliber distinct from a .40 caliber?
By size and weight, yes.
Is there any way that you would confuse one for the other?
I don't believe I would, no.
Were you surprised, let me ask this differently, if the girls were overnight in the condition that you found them, would you be surprised the next afternoon when you arrived at the scene not to find any evidence of critter activity or scavenger activity on the bodies of the girls?
I would not be.
Would it be your expectation not to find them in that fashion after being overnight in the condition in which you found them?
I would expect to find them in a very similar condition left overnight as I found them.
No further questions.
Mr. Rosie?
You're talking about the condition of the bodies, right?
Yes.
But expect that they might be exposed to some predators or scavengers, that wouldn't be unusual, would it?
Wouldn't necessarily be unusual, but I would also say at the time of year, insect activity is very much non-existent in northern Indiana, and insect activity is one of the things that often brings other animals, small and large, to the bodies. And the fact that there's no insect activity at that time of year, I think lends itself to the fact that there was no animal activity on the bodies.
Ever seen turkey buzzards in Indiana?
Yes.
Ever seen them on the highway on roadkill?
I have.
Pretty common around these parts, isn't it?
It's very common, yes, I would say.
They can be pretty quick at getting to those things, can't they?
Sometimes.
Now, you said you collected only 1 round in this case, right?
That's correct.
You could have spent some extra time or given that some extra attention because it was the only one you collected, wasn't it?
I could have.
If you had it to do over again, would you have taken more photos of that round?
I would not, based on the fact that it did identify, to my knowledge, a firearm that was used with it. So protecting it and preserving it, I feel, is the right thing to do, and taking no attempt to do anything else that I might do to damage or transform, and taking every attempt to preserve that evidence.
If you had it to do all over again, would you have taken more photos of the area, close-up photos of the area on the ground where that round had lied before you picked it up?
I mean, I think I took 5 or 6 photographs of one item.
Close-ups?
There were 2 or 3 that were close-up.
Did you ever take a close-up photograph of that round? A close-up where you got down? Or did you ever see a photograph of that round when it was under those leaves that were moved before it was photographed?
Yeah, I believe there was one photograph where it was visible before we found it.
Before you found it?
Yes.
Okay. All right. I have nothing further.
Does anybody on the jury have any questions for Mr. Olehy?
Sidebar conference conducted.
And we're going to break after this.
Okay.
We're going to break after this.
May I grab my notepad?
Sure. Did the undergrowth appear to be disrupted under Abigail to indicate she was dressed as she laid there?
I'm okay with that.
When the evidence is being tested at the lab, how is that logged and resealed in the same bag?
I'm okay with that.
Jim?
I think he's answered.
Is it common practice to change gloves at any point during evidence collection.
I'm okay with that.
Was the bullet collected in an envelope or pillbox?
Yeah, it's been answered, but I'm okay with that. He said pillbox.
He said pillbox.
Well, I think sometimes people get it. I think, isn't it in an envelope now? Because it was collected in a, okay. They heard it, but they're not listening. Okay. What identifies which collected items were reopened or seal broken by a lab personnel? Is there initials on the item?
I'm okay with it.
Okay. So we'll go through all these questions and then we'll take a break.
Thank you.
Sidebar conference concluded.
All right. Mr. Olehy, did the undergrowth appear to be disrupted under Abigail to indicate she was dressed as she laid there?
I'm sorry. Can you read that again, please?
Yes, sir. Did the undergrowth appear to be disrupted under Abigail to indicate she was dressed as she laid there?
I don't recall any area under her directly that was disturbed beyond just small movement or movement of the body during the examination of the scene.
Mr. Latrell, any follow-up?
I have none.
Mr. Rosie?
No, ma'am.
When the evidence is being tested at the lab, how is that logged and resealed in the same bag?
So an analyst, and may I illustrate?
Certainly.
So to use item 151 as an example, the top portion is sealed with my initials and my seal. These are my initials. This is my identifying officer number, and my seal's over the complete area of the opening of the flap. The bottom is also sealed by me, even though it's factory sealed. The side is actually opened with a sharp edge instrument, like an X-Acto knife or a small pair of very sharp scissors. And it's opened actually along the side, and the item is removed. And then once it's removed, it is resealed by the evidence person dealing with it, whether it be a chemist, an analyst, whoever it is in the lab, and then they place it back in and reseal it in the exact same container. As well, it does have the identifying number on it for the individual item that the laboratory would use to track it. And then also this square here and the handwriting here indicates that it was removed by the same initials, which is SB, and SB up here, indicating the lab evidence number and the lab item number. So this box is affixed and added on each item examined by an analyst.
Any follow-up, Mr. Luttrell?
Do you recognize the initials SB relating to the laboratory system at Indianapolis, Indiana State Police?
Based on this case, I would assume them to be the initials of Stacy Bozanovsky.
Who is she?
She is a DNA analyst and lab analyst for the Indiana State Police Laboratory at the Indiana State Police Lab in Indianapolis.
And what is in your experience, what is the situation if you deliver a package not fully sealed to the Indiana State Police Laboratory?
It would be rejected by the lab for acceptance.
Thank you. No further questions.
Mr. Rosie?
No questions.
Is it common practice to change gloves at any point during evidence collection? For example, different gloves for evidence collection on each victim?
Yes, absolutely. I go through boxes of gloves at a crime scene. I think I described yesterday wearing often 2 pairs of gloves for the ease of change. The gloves underneath protect my hands, and most often my practice was to wear 2 pairs of gloves so I could more quickly change them and still put a pair of gloves on without the sweaty hands or wet hands or anything like that.
Any follow-up?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Rosie?
No.
Was the bullet collected in an envelope or pillbox?
It was collected at the scene in an envelope, and in order to preserve its integrity and not touch, damage, or destruct it in any way, it was never removed from its initial packaging that was packaged at the scene directly by me at the scene.
Mr. Luttrell?
No questions.
Mr. Rosie?
No questions.
What identifies which collected items were reopened or your seal broken by a lab personnel? Are there initials on the seal?
As I previously stated, yes, the seal is it's the item is opened by a lab analyst with their individual seal, and resealed by them. They'll have their specific marker initials. And in this case, in item 151, the item is opened by Stacy Bozanovsky
resealed with packaging tape, and then resealed and signed on both sides to indicate that she was the one who opened and resealed the item.
Mr. Luttrell?
I have no questions.
Mr. Rosie?
You would agree with me that item 148, for example, would be treated similar to 151 in terms of your testimony just a second ago?
I would say yes.
To which I would object to the form of the question. Would you agree with me?
Form of the question?
Would item 148 be treated the same as item 151 in terms of your testimony just now?
It would.
And would there also be with item 148 specific, the round, would there also be a log sheet that chronicles the travels of that round from the time it was collected by you to the time that it landed here in this courtroom?
There would be a chain of custody maintained on it from the time I collected it up until this date.
You ever seen that chain of custody log in this case with that 148?
I have not, and it would not be uncommon for me not to review or see chain of custody logs after an item leaves me.
Okay. I don't have any further questions.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Olehy. You may step down.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Yeah, you can just put that back in the box. Thank you. All right. We're going to go ahead and take a quick break. Again, ladies and gentlemen, while you're outside the courtroom, please keep your minds open. Please don't form any opinions or conclusions about anything. You may discuss the evidence that you've heard so far, but please only do that if all 16 of you are present in the jury room at the same time, and then please don't deliberate. Gentlemen.
All rise.
All right. Let's take 15 minutes. All right. Are we ready to continue? Is the state ready with your next witness?
Yes, Your Honor. Prior to that, I wanted to publish to the jury hard copies of 3 slides identified by Sergeant Page yesterday. I did not want to pass any crime scene photos.
Okay.
But I do have diagrams that I want to pass to the jury.
Okay. And that was State's Exhibit?
One is State's Exhibit 182.
Okay. So I've got 182, 183, 184. Are those what you're talking about?
I'm talking about the topography.
Oh, okay.
And
So you want to publish 182? Okay.
I need to find the evidence number of these. I apologize.
Okay. Well, can we bring the jury in while you're doing that?
Absolutely, Your Honor.
Okay. Let's go bring them in. 182 is the topographical, and then there were aerial photos and they were given copies of those. The jury was given copies of 183 and 184. Those were the photos with the helicopter.
Right, correct.
They were given those.
Correct.
But they were not given the photo of the Google Earth map depicted in 182.
Correct. And also, it's the topography slide that he identified. I just do not see it in the collection here.
What is it? You've been marking those. What is...
These are just my copies. I just wanted to make sure.
Oh, you didn't have them?
I didn't take his, in all honesty.
Oh, okay. But you've been marking on your copies what they are? I mean, you didn't on...
Yeah.
Okay.
She's got them all filed back there, but these are just...
Yours.
Yeah.
All rise.
Okay. So it's just 182 then?
182.
Thank you. You may be seated.
Thank you, gentlemen. All right. You may proceed, Mr. Luttrell.
Thank you, Honor. Prior to the next witness, we want to provide to the jury hard copies of State's Exhibit 182 that they have seen yesterday. It is a Google Earth illustration, and it does contain some measurements of the area of the bridge and the crime scene.
Okay. You may... All right. You may call your next witness, State.